I bet London is so insanely profitable.
London is extremely profitable. The money that you can make in those locations is ridiculous.
Yusuf Sheikh.
Biggest Airbnb coach in UK.
There's this negative stigma attached to coaches. They just make money from courses. They've never done it themselves.
How many people do you think you've coached in total?
Definitely in the hundreds.
You're hearing horror stories of people just signing crazy deals that don't make any sense and then they don't make any profit.
It's too much in the UK, man. It's like the UK is only going downhill.
If you're good at anything, come to Dubai, you'll get rich.
Habibi, come to Dubai.
You don't do much lifestyle content.
I like flexing my apartment, you know. It's getting harder here though, because now there's so many operators.
What would you say are the hardest parts about setting up over here?
The hardest part is just biggest Airbnb coach in UK. Is that true?
That's what they say, man.
Is there anyone bigger?
I mean, this is what they say, so it must be true, right?
I mean, I haven't seen anyone else but you. You're all over TikTok and Instagram and stuff like
I
that.
do try, bro. I do try.
How many
for
people
myself
do you
out
think
there.
you've coached in total?
Wow, that's a tricky one. Hundreds, definitely in the hundreds.
Hundreds,
Yeah,
wow.
hundreds, 100%.
Do you think anyone can sublease Airbnb apartments?
I think yes and no. Yes, in a sense to where I think it's accessible to pretty much everyone, but no, in a sense to where I feel like, you know, some people may not be cut out for that entrepreneurship journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not in a harsh way, but you know, just keeping it real.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need definitely, you know, some proper problem solving skills to make it happen, you know?
Correct.
Yeah, at least that's what you need for sure. So why do we call it subleasing and you call it let to rent?
Rent to rent. That's a very interesting question, man. I asked myself that quite a lot, to be fair. I think, I don't know. I think even in America, they call it more rental arbitrage.
Yeah, Airbnb arbitrage.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 different names in 3 different places.
Yeah, exactly. So even when I, like, for example, when I put in keywords and stuff, like on TikTok and Instagram, I would put in arbitrage and rental arbitrage, and I'll get a lot of Americans watching me.
Yeah.
So I had to change it. It's like, no, I need to keep it UK.
Oh.
So I put rent to rents and stuff. I'm not sure what they call it over here, though. Is it pretty much the same as Americans?
No, we call it subleasing every time.
Oh, subleasing.
Yeah.
Okay. So not rent to rents.
Nobody calls it rent to rent, and pretty much nobody says arbitrage either. No.
Oh, do you not?
No.
Oh, so you got your own thing.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know why. But do you have anyone in Australia?
I don't, you know. I've had people inquire from
Yeah.
Australia.
What do they call it there?
I have no idea, you know.
Yeah.
I've never done it over there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's all good.
All right, man. But so tell me how this all started. Well, how did you start this business?
So I started it just a little, you know, when COVID hit
Yeah.
in 2020, just off the back of that.
Okay. That's when you started doing it yourself.
Exactly.
It's actually the same time I started.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I started. I remember it was February 2020.
And what did you do? What was your first thing?
To be fair, my first thing it wasn't actually Airbnb. It was more taking large properties and then renting it out room by room.
Yeah.
So similar to the sublease models where you're renting the property, but
That's basically subleasing.
exactly. But instead of doing it night by night, you're just doing long term, room by room.
Yeah.
I think when it came to the Airbnb stuff, that more came in 2021. If that makes sense. I just saw that there was a much bigger opportunity, a much bigger market for that sort of thing. And let's be real, you can make a lot more money compared to just, you know, taking on a big property and renting it out room by room. I mean, we call it HMOs in the UK. I don't know what they call it over here.
HMOs? What does that mean?
So houses of multiple occupation.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we call it. But that's how I started.
That's how it started. And then you started just renting apartments from other people, putting it on Airbnb. And you know, how many apartments did you have when you were like running at
Not a crazy amount. I would say at my peak, I probably had about 21.
21?
Yeah. So not a stupid amount, but it was making an okay amount per
Okay,
month in
got
profit.
you.
Yeah.
And then you started. When did you start doing social media and that whole process?
I probably started that in late 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, to be fair, when I started social media, it was more to attract more landlords.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing it for.
It does help for that.
It does
for
100%
sure.
help for that.
Yeah.
And then one of my guys, this was someone that coached me from before for social media. He reached out to me one day and then he asked me, you know, have you ever thought about coaching? And I'm like, nah, man, I've never thought about coaching. That's crazy. Because to me, I'm thinking like you have to be this massive guy, like a Grant Cardone or one of those guys. But then he was putting the idea more and more in my head. And then at the end of that phone call, I ended up paying him £3,000 to coach me.
To coach you on how to coach people.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't sold on it though. Even when I paid, I regretted it.
And you think that helped The coaching call you had with that guy?
100%. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for him. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest with you. Just because I felt like I was nowhere near qualified to be
Yeah.
a coach. I'm just gonna be real. I thought I would at least have to have hundreds of places.
It's crazy. Just people that come on this podcast, they have no following. Just people reach out to them and ask them to coach them.
Yeah.
So you don't almost need no following to become a coach.
No, you don't. 100%. I think I swear to God, when I first started, I had zero following on Instagram, TikTok. I say zero, like a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
I actually started on Facebook. And I was able to get it moving, I would say, within a couple of months' time. I'll say 2 months, a month and a half, I got my first client. And then after that, we was getting over, a handful of clients per month. I was charging them about £3,000 per month. So it was okay when you're starting off. But then TikTok and Instagram, I would say that, I'm going to be honest with you, that more kicked off late 2022.
Okay.
But even when I was getting loads of clients from that, I did not have a lot of followers. I swear to God, on Instagram, just this year, I would say, last year, December, I had about 3,000 followers.
Yeah.
So right now, I don't have a crazy amount, but it's just a little shy over 30,000. But same thing on TikTok. I didn't start off with the most amount, but it just grows over time with the work and consistency.
Yeah. You know what's so fun? I'm so used to talking to people where English is their second language.
Really?
But you're just ripping it with your English.
Oh, no.
So-
let me know if I'm going too fast.
No, I love it. I actually used to. I lived in America for 1 year.
Okay.
So I'm super like used to it. But
Yeah,
it's just so funny when you get there's so much energy because
Yeah.
there's no like energy from you that is spent in thinking about the language.
Of course,
You're
you
just
just go
ripping
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can definitely feel the difference.
I appreciate that.
But awesome, man. So, but I want to go back to the content a little bit. So, in the beginning, when you were making the content, were you just documenting your journey, or were you just talking about the pros and cons, or something like that? Or
I'm going to be honest with you, when I started content, I wasn't really documenting my journey. I was more just exactly what you said, pros and cons, more educating and informing people. Because if I'm trying to, when I started, I was more trying to attract landlords to give me their properties. So I was letting them know, hey, look, these are the pros of going ahead with something like this. This is the cons of just letting it out to people long term, and all those different things. I never really started, because some people start just documenting their journey. I think even similar to yourself.
that's
you're just,
exactly what I did.
yeah, you're just documenting your journey, which works very, very well. But I didn't start off with that. I was just more teaching and educating, but more landlords to give me their properties. And then that kind of like transferred over to teaching people how to get started off with this as well.
Yeah, I love the videos you make where you're talking to the owners. So
Yeah.
you're recording yourself, like trying to pitch them.
Yeah.
Those seem to do very good too.
They do.
The only reason I should do these videos, I just don't have a second phone to record myself.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I haven't done it.
Of course.
Sometimes I'm I finish a call with an agent, and I'm like, damn, that reel would have gotten like a million views if I would have just recorded myself.
Yeah. Now I get a lot of heat for it though. I mean, it gets a lot of views, but I get a lot of heat.
Is it sometimes you make fun of them a little bit?
Nah,
too?
I don't.
A little bit.
I don't. How though? How?
I mean, so many of them like have like stupid thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're like a little bit like, when they have the weird thoughts, the owners.
The facial expressions, yeah.
Yeah, you got the facial expression.
Yeah, of course.
What city was it in that you were doing this?
London, man.
What are the regulations like in London when it comes to Airbnb?
So they have something called a 90-day rule in place in London. So what that basically means is you have an allowance of 90 days to be able to rent properties as a short-term let. So you can't necessarily do it over 90 days as a short-term let throughout the year. Now, the way people get around that is they mix up short lets with mid to long-term lets. You know how similar you probably got it similar over here in Dubai with someone who wants to book a service apartment for 3 months or 4 months. Exactly the same thing over there. So if you get someone booking for, let's say, 95 days, that doesn't apply.
Even if it's from Airbnb?
Even if it's from Airbnb.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So people just, even though there are 90 days rule, people just do subleasing and just figure out, some ways around it. And
that's the proper way around it. That's the official way around it. But then people, of course, they go, they do things under the table. I mean, what a lot of people do, for example, is they list their properties, and then when the 90 days finishes, they will re-upload the property, but just make it across the street.
Oh.
Does that make sense? So a lot of people do that.
And what about 90 days on Airbnb, 90 days on booking.com?
That's from what I know, and this is I haven't done it in a while, but from what I know, the last time I did it, this only applied. I mean, it applies across the board, but with Booking.com, the last time that I did it, they didn't actually take you off after 90 days. It may have changed, but that was just Airbnb. That's why they call it the 90-day Airbnb rule. Yeah.
I bet London is so insanely profitable for this.
You know what? In certain parts of London, it is. But I was actually talking about it earlier on with a friend today. The numbers are getting very, very tight in a lot of parts in London. Like you would take on a property, for example. I mean, the place I got started off with is a place in Canary Wharf, which is it's basically like the financial district of the UK. Major corporate companies that are based there, you know, JP Morgan, all these different companies. And the rent, let's say, for example, for a 2-bedroom apartment over there would be like, let's say £3,000, which is about in dollars, probably about close to $4,000. Profit-wise, you're probably looking at around just a little over £1,200 per month in profit.
Pounds,
correct. Which is good.
Yeah.
But then let's say, for example, now you're looking outside of London to cities up north. You will find that the rent is cheaper. Instead of you paying £3,000, you're paying £1,500, but you're making profits that are not that far off.
okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Lower investment, same profit.
Exactly. So that's what I've kind of found from my observation.
Interesting, because you know why I would think London would be so profitable is because there are these tough regulations that you have to work yourself around, and that pushes away the huge operators like myself. I want to grow to 200 apartments, you know. That pushes me out because I don't want to have to relist my apartment, you know, with 200 apartments, you know.
Yeah.
So that leaves just the small grinders, you know.
I get you.
Am I wrong?
I think, you know what it is? For a lot of newcomers, I think they are quite intimidated with London because of the 90-day rule. I felt like that myself. When I first started, I didn't actually start in London. I started outside of London. But when you, when you actually realize that you can make it work by, you know, doing it how I mentioned before, by mixing short bookings with mid to long-term bookings, honestly, it's not, because even with the properties I had, we would get a lot of long-term bookings.
Yeah.
A lot. And when we realized that, I mean, you know, it was just game on in London. And to be fair, you're not wrong. London is extremely profitable in a lot of areas, but you just have to make sure you're getting in the right areas. And for example, in Zone 1, like Central London, we're talking Oxford Circus, Knightsbridge, and these prime locations. The money that you can make in those locations is ridiculous. Obviously, the rent is ridiculous.
But yeah, I could definitely believe it. So, but the risk. So, say you were grow to 100 apartments. What if London would just, you know, tighten its grip a little bit more, which they could, you know, and enforce the rules a little bit harder. Then you could just lose everything, you know. Versus in Dubai, there's no risk of that. You know what the regulations are. They're not going to change anything. There's no sign of it. There's no gray area. It's just the rules and regulations are clear. But that makes it a lot less profitable too, because there's people here just piling up Airbnb units, you know? So I would think, you know, it's much better to start in a city like London, you know, where you don't have to compete with these crazy people that are just piling up endless amounts of units. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. 3 years ago when I started my Airbnb journey in Iceland and I got to 6 apartments, I realized the guest communication was getting very overwhelming. And that's when I found virtual assistants to take that load off of me. And it blew my mind how much more I could get done. Now, 3 years later, I've done so many mistakes when it comes to hiring these virtual assistants, and I've gone through so many of them. And now I got a perfect team of 5 former Airbnb employees that used to work at the Airbnb, the company itself, and they take care of everything for me. And I pretty much don't even have to do anything. And then when I talked to my friend Rashid that was on the podcast the other day, I realized he has almost the exact same setup. So we thought, why don't we offer this service to other people? Because there's so many people trying to set this up correctly, but it's really hard to find the right people to do this, get a proper team. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for 2 or 3 people that have 10 plus Airbnb units, and we're gonna manage the communication on these apartments for you, as well as all disputes you have with Airbnb, guests that are trying to get a refund, trying to get a bad review removed that was unfair, and all these kinds of stuff that former Airbnb employees are actually best at. If this is something that's interesting to you, book a call with the Rashid in the description and he'll tell you all about it.
I think you're not wrong 100% about London in terms of it not being, I mean, in Dubai, for example, I don't know how, I haven't looked into it, but I can imagine that it is quite, in terms of like operators doing it here, I mean, there's tons, like a crazy amount. In London, it's not, obviously it's a big city. You have a lot of people doing it, but probably not to the extent to where you have people over here doing it. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like, as in, like, I mean, percentage-wise of landlords, how many of them are running their properties as Airbnbs? Like, the percentage is probably a lot higher over here.
Probably one of the biggest in the world here.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard from, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people choose not to let out their properties as a long-term let over here.
I mean, this is a point that I made that got kind of viral. I made a reel that got over 1 million views. A lot of people were like saying I was completely wrong, but you know, my point was that there's so many people pushed to Airbnb because long-term tenants are so protected, you know, and you can't raise the rents properly, you can't kick them out, you know, and all of that. So that's why so many people are pushed into the Airbnb market. That was my point.
I get you. I think to your point as well about the rules tightening up in London. I mean, I was saying this for a very long time, but the 90-day rule, that came into place, I believe it was in 2017, around that time. That was only in London. Everywhere else in the UK, it did not have that rule or any rules in place. Now, more recently, they've actually announced that, okay, the similar rule that's in London, the 90-day rule, they're going to make that apply across the board in different parts of the UK.
I heard that. I think I saw your reel about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and a lot of people were panicking about this. But then for people that are doing it in London, this is just normal. You know what I mean? And we knew that was going to happen because they need to find some way to regulate the market, because if everyone's doing Airbnb, where's everyone else going to live? So that's what I said.
I think also these governments, they don't have to enforce it that much. It's maybe, so the reason they do it in London is obviously because they just don't want too many Airbnb apartments. They don't want everything to be Airbnb.
Of course.
So they put these rules to scare people away, but maybe they don't have to enforce it that hard, because just scaring people away scares enough people away. What do you think about that?
I get what you're saying. I think, you know what it is? I think there are a lot of people that, for example, don't respect the 90-day rule.
Yeah.
They just, you know, they you know, like I mentioned before about them listing properties and then relisting it after 90 days. You know, there are a lot of people that do that. And to be fair, there are some councils in London that watch Airbnb to see if people are doing that.
So there are people that work in enforcing these rules.
100%. But it's in certain like, so the way London works is it's divided up by different councils in terms of areas, and certain councils are a lot more strict and thorough than others. It applies across the board, but certain councils will go above and beyond to try to catch people out, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Exactly.
So what cities have like very clear regulations? You can just rent out as much as you want, no problem.
As of now, just everywhere outside of London.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Pretty much. So it can definitely work. And the thing but I think eventually that 90-day rule will apply across the board, like literally the whole of the UK.
Do you know any operators that have like 200 plus apartments that's like subleasing?
I know
really?
a few. Yeah.
What are they going to do when these 90 days rule come up? They're just going to do what you say, midterm and...
Exactly. But the thing is, what a lot of people are looking at doing is just getting the license, getting the correct license.
Yeah.
So it's worth mentioning as well, and this is something I didn't mention before.
Oh, you get like a hotel license.
Exactly, something very similar to that. So if you actually have that in London, you get the proper licensing, you change the use of the property through the council, then you can do it full year round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's a very...
hard to get.
Exactly, it's not the easiest to do.
Same in Iceland, super hard to get that kind of license.
Yeah, and if you're subleasing, I mean, it doesn't like, if you own the property, I get it, but subleasing, rent to rents, it just wouldn't be worth it, in my opinion.
So what do you think are the pros and cons to renting in UK versus in Dubai? From what you know of Dubai,
okay,
what do you see?
So from what I know of so here's my observation, yeah. Even though I haven't done it in Dubai, I'm just gonna give it my input. So I would say the pros of doing it somewhere like in the UK is that, for example, there's demand all year round. I know especially from watching your videos, that in the summertime over here it's pretty much dry. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be in the summer. Hotel rooms are pretty much giving out rooms away. Whereas in the UK, winter is the low season, but you can still get a high occupancy in the winter if you get in the right location.
So you never lose money.
No, 100% not.
Wow.
100%. If you get in the right locations, you can be booked up all year round.
Yeah, that would be impossible in Dubai.
Yeah, so that's the biggest pro for them. I think another thing about the UK that's got a big advantage to it is that there's many different markets that you can target for this sort of thing. You know, you've got for example, you know, business travelers, corporate workers. You've got, you know, holiday makers, for example. You've got people that are being, You know, people that live in houses, but then something happens to their houses, so their insurance companies needs to put them up in temporary accommodation. You've got that market, which is a pretty big market as well. And you've got many different people that are just traveling for different reasons. Whereas over here, I mean, let's be real. I mean, I might be wrong. You can correct me, but okay, you've got people maybe that are coming here for a short-term basis for business purposes, setting up their companies, work, cool, they may stay here for a couple of months, or holiday makers. Outside of that, who do you really have that's booking Airbnbs and service accommodations?
Outside of tourists?
Outside of tourists and people that are coming here for business purposes.
Yes.
What else is there?
I mean, there's a lot of people that book it because they're moving to Dubai and they don't want to get a long-term rent yet. They just want to try this area, try this area, try that area. You know, a lot of that. Or people that just live in Dubai 6 months out of the year. And they do just Airbnbs. They don't want a long-term tenant, long-term client the whole year. I see. We do have that. But one reel I saw you did was very interesting and was 100% correct, was the owners in the UK versus the owners in Dubai.
Yeah.
You talked about how in the UK, a lot of the owners have a very personal connection with their apartments, and you know it's harder to convince them. You know, you have to spend a lot more time telling them about Airbnb, how it works, and all that. But in Dubai, the owners just know what it is, how it works, because it's just a part of the real estate culture here. You know, I don't know, 40% of apartments are Airbnb apartments. I don't know the exact number, but it's probably something like that. And also, it's investors. You know, so they're not as stressed about their property and stuff like it. So I think that's a huge pro in the Dubai.
That's a huge con in the UK as well. You're 100% right. These I mean, I was speaking to an estate agent. This was last year when I was over here. I was asking him, you know, when it comes to the subleasing market over here, the rents, how many landlords, like percentage-wise, do you think will be open to it? I was shocked what he told me. He said probably around 50%. I was like, wow, are you serious? In the UK, you'd be lucky to get 5%.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, it's like
same in Iceland.
Yeah, like those phone calls that you see me on with landlords, that's like, it's typical, and you get worse.
Yeah,
you get a lot worse.
But to be fair, it's getting harder here though, because now there's so many operators. I mean, hundreds of new Airbnb companies have opened up since I've started, and they're all blasting. You know, WhatsApp blasting, calling. So these owners are a little more tired. You know, they're like, no subleasing, you know, they already made up their mind and they don't want to listen to you because there's just so many people calling. And also because there's so many new people, you're hearing horror stories of people just signing crazy deals that don't make any sense, and then they don't make any profit, and it's a disaster. They have to go out, or they don't pay rent, and this spreads out to the owners. So you can definitely feel that less and less owners are open to it. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, do you feel like, because I mean, I don't know if this was the exact number, but probably not, like 40% basically, roughly around, apartments over here and properties are Airbnbs and short-term rentals. Do you feel like that's also a pretty big con with being in somewhere like Dubai and setting up shop?
So I feel like when I came here, I feel like I could easily stand out because I just would set my quality of the apartments better than everybody else. So it was fine. I always stood out. But now the market is just changing, and everybody's realizing they have to put their units up to the next level to get booked. So I don't think there's getting a lot more Airbnb apartments now. I feel like just the quality of the apartments is raising because people are realizing they have to raise their quality if they want to get booked. I don't know if that was your question.
No, it was similar, but no, you pretty much answered it, to be fair. I guess my question would be next is, you know, when it comes to, let's say, for example, other people coming here and looking to set up shop, because probably people, when they think about Dubai, they think, oh, you know, it could work so well over there, you know, they just look at Dubai, the glitz and glamour, but then, you know, sometimes they may need a reality check that maybe you can help them out with, basically.
Dude, I tell everybody it's so tough, man. It's really difficult. And I think most people that are going to start this are going to stop. I think probably 70-80% of people that start this business in Dubai will not continue after, you know, after they see a full year, like the investment versus the return, the time you have to put into it, because it is a full-time job. If you're in Dubai, if you want to do it if you want your investment to be worth it, you have to spend a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I tell everybody, you know.
Okay, like for example, in the UK, when it comes to starting this business, I mean, the hardest part by far is actually getting the properties. That's by far. And don't get me wrong, even when you get the properties, there's still a lot of work to do in terms, as I'm sure you know. But that is the hardest part, in my opinion. What would you say are the hardest parts about setting up over here?
The hardest part is just being profitable enough. You know, you can make like tiny profits if you just do everything very average. But the tiny little profits you're going to make are not going to be enough for the time you have to put in, for the investment you have to put in. If you want to make enough profit for all of it to be worth it, you have to become crazy good. And it takes a long time to be crazy good, you know? And that's not a side business. That's a full-time job. You know what I mean? That's my point.
I get you. And would you say like your tip, because I was actually thinking about this earlier on as well, the other day, you know, your typical, you know, marina apartments and just all these, you know, typical Airbnb apartments. Do you feel like those are still, you can still generate good profits from them? Or do you feel like the market, I wouldn't say the market is shifting, but there are more profitable deals out there if you go about it correctly?
So I think you can be profitable almost anywhere.
Okay.
But Marina, Palm, Dubai Hills, you just have to figure out how to make your apartment stand out. And yeah, so I think you can do it anywhere, honestly. I'm looking at Marina, I'm looking at Palm, I look at all of these areas. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. Now, the reason I asked that was because, you know, for me, myself, I'm probably thinking, like, I think about it more from anybody that would want to do it over here. The obvious areas would be, you know, the Dubai Marina, you know, and downtown, for example. Even it's similar in the UK, for example. You know, you have these super popular locations. So from where I'm from in London, in East London specifically, you have Canary Wharf, you have Stratford, Wembley, that's more in West London. But these areas that are super obvious that it could work well for Airbnbs. Like people that want to do this, they flock to those areas, which means it makes it, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, there's still demand, but then the supply now is just got shot up a lot more, and it just, you know what I mean?
Of course. So
that's why I more asked that question about, you know, someone like the Marina, for example. Even though it can work well anyway, I agree with you, but it was just more in that sense.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So one thing that I think you are a good person to answer this question to is, because I see you convince owners so much, and I hear a lot of times from owners that they don't want to give their apartments to Airbnb subleasing, to rent.
Yeah.
Why should an owner give their apartment to somebody subleasing?
Okay, so there's a few benefits. Of course, the way we pitch it in terms of the benefits to the owners is, of course, for example, that long-term guaranteed rental income they'll receive. I wouldn't say that's the biggest perk, but that is a perk. I think the biggest one is it being hands off for them, in a sense to where, you know, they won't necessarily have to take maintenance calls from tenants. They won't have to be, you know, disturbed by them. They don't have the risk of necessarily, you know, having the tenants not pay the rent. Now, look, one may argue that, okay, there's also the risk of someone doing subleasing, of them not paying the rent. Okay, fair enough. But then obviously that comes down to you doing your due diligence on that person to make sure they're actually proper. So there's that. And I would say that's probably the biggest pro, in my opinion, to where it's just more hands off for the landlord and less stress compared to just dealing with a normal tenant. Now, don't get me wrong. Me personally, I think if you were to do it right now, and this is something I teach a lot of my students as well, you got to make it worth the landlord's time. And you've probably done this yourself in terms of, like, if you have an apartment and it's going for, I don't know, £1,000 or, you know, $1,000. If there's so many other people, especially tenants, that just want to rent that apartment, you got to be willing to go to a bidding war. You know what I mean? But obviously at the same time, you can't overdo it to, you know, to just make the deal not profitable for yourself. So, sorry, I went on off a bit of a tangent there, but in terms of benefits to the landlords, I'll say main thing, just it being a hands-off experience. And to be fair, also, this is another benefit as well. Let's say you're a portfolio landlord. Let's say you're a landlord with 10, 20 units. Okay,
sure.
You've got the option of renting it out to 20 different tenants. You know what I mean? Or you've got the option of dealing with one tenant. What are you going to pick?
Oh, this is such a good point, because my biggest landlord in Iceland, he's got 10 apartments, and he was so happy when I came.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you can just take all my apartments. I don't have to find a new tenant for everything. So I just took one of his apartment after another when they became vacant, and he's so happy. But I would say a big pro, just like you said, if I get your apartment, I'm staying in it for 5 or 10 years. I'm just going to stay there as long as you let me, you know?
Okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
there's not going to be any vacancy in between tenants, you know? That's a big pro. And the second thing is, you know where you're going to get. You know I'm cleaning your apartment every single week. You know I can't have any maintenance issues because I'm hugely incentivized to keep your apartment in 100% state, you know, because I can't have any complaints. So I have to take care of all maintenance issues right away. So when you get your apartment back in 5 years, everything's just going to be perfect. Versus if you have a long-term tenant for 5 years, you have no idea what you're going to get back to, you know? If they're obviously not going to paint your apartment, they're you know, who knows how many times they cleaned, you know, the wear and tear over the 5 years is going to be crazy. Versus with me, I have to keep the apartment up, you know?
Of course.
Right?
Of
You
course.
agree?
No, 100% I agree. I think this may be a bit of a difference compared to over here in the UK, but, you know, a big part of why landlords don't want to go ahead with something like this in the UK is that, I'm not going to know who's going to be staying in my property.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it might be similar over here. Maybe not.
Yeah, some people, yeah.
Okay, yeah, but that's massively over there. Massively. You know, they want good people in there and they want the properties to be treated correctly, of course, 100%. So that's what I try, especially on my phone calls. A lot of people think I'm being deceiving. A lot of people think, you're lying. I'm not lying to the landlords. I'm actually being quite, honest and upfront. But, when I usually tell landlords, hey, look, we're only getting certain types of people in here, I don't just say, hey, look, these are the only types of people we're getting in there. I just more emphasize and highlight those individuals. Yeah. Now, if the landlord was to ask me, look, are you going to be letting the place to someone that's coming in for the weekend? I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say, look, that's not our main focus. You know what I mean? So I'm playing about with the words a bit. Now, if the landlord asks me, are you going to be listing the property on Airbnb? I'm not going to lie and say no. I'm going to say, yeah, we are. But Airbnb is just one of many platforms that we're going to use to try and locate the clientele that we're trying to locate.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
I hear it a lot from people in both America and from you that do this, that owners are scared of the word Airbnb, and you try to not use the word Airbnb.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are people scared of Airbnb?
It's got like a negative stigma attached to it, if I'm being honest with you. When people think about Airbnbs, they think about weekends, parties, people trashing the place, and that is a big no-no. Even that's something I teach to my students a lot. It's like, there are certain words that you don't use. Those are one of the words. So if a landlord says, oh, is this an Airbnb, by the way? We say, well, no, that's not what our focus isn't to get people here for the weekend and people changing every because we're not addressing, we're addressing the attachment that comes with Airbnb. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you do get landlords asking that, is this an Airbnb? And that's how we tackle it. But that would be the biggest reasons why.
Such a different game.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just between the countries,
Okay,
such a different game. Because here, if you would be playing around with that, it doesn't matter. Just get straight to the point,
Really?
Yeah. At least for me, right away I just say, hey, would the owner be open to the tenant subleasing this apartment? That's, and then it's just a yes or no. If it's a super good deal, then maybe I try to convince him, but usually I don't even try.
You don't try pitch, you don't try
Very rarely. I find myself doing it more and more now because it's so hard to find deals now.
Okay.
But in the past, I didn't do it at all. I just sent to a bunch of people, and whoever said yes, I was like, okay, let's look at this deal.
Okay, that's crazy. That's not. I couldn't expect that in the UK at all. To be fair,
no.
If you're sending out 100, honestly, if you're sending out 100 inquiries, if you get a handful of yeses, that is a very wow. That's very good. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
But maybe, do you feel like a lot of people are sending these owners messages about this? Are there a lot of people in the UK doing this?
There are, but
does one owner get 5 requests?
Potentially. It depends on the area.
Yeah.
It depends on the area. So certain parts of London, 100%. Cities like Birmingham, especially in the centre, 100%. This is why especially for a lot of the students I'm working with, I more get them to focus on areas that aren't so obvious, that don't have people just flocking to it. And these are more areas that are out the way, but for example, have demand for construction workers that are working on certain projects. Yeah. I don't know if it's like that over here, to be fair. That's a good demand to target.
I mean, sure, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I've never tried it.
Over there, it's a big, in certain areas, that's a big thing. You have contractors booking from Monday to Saturday, and then on the weekends, you just let it out to, and they will rent it for I got one of my students, he took on a contractor booking for 45 weeks, Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, 45 weeks? What do you mean?
Yeah, so the contractors, the company have paid for the contractor's accommodation, and they're going to be there from Monday to Friday, every week for 45 weeks.
Whoa, that's super interesting. And then you can rent out the weekends.
Exactly.
That's super comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the contracts are only working on the weekdays.
Exactly. And the weekends they go back home, and then in the weekdays they come back.
There's so many things you can do with real estate. It's crazy.
Exactly. I'm not sure. That's why I compared it to over here. I'm not sure if that's like a big demand over here for contractors. I'm not sure, to be fair.
It's wild. Yeah, this is what I do in Iceland a lot of the times. We have a similar 90-day rule.
Okay.
I just rent it out 90 days over the summer and then long-term rent over the winter. And sometimes I try to get like, monthly stays or whatever to, But so are you buying properties as well? You said that?
Correct.
What are you doing? How do you do that?
So we are. So right now I'm focusing on a strategy called buy, refurbish, refinance.
Burr.
You've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
So the BRR strategy or the Burr strategy, that's where, let's say for example you have, let's say you have 100 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, you buy a property for, let's say 60 grand in cash, and then you spend, let's say 20, 30 grand fixing that property up, a little bit extra for a few extra stuff. Okay, cool. Let's say you spend that 100 grand now on that property, but now that property that you paid 60 grand for, all the money you invested, it's now worth 150 grand. So now what you do, you go to the bank, say, hey, Mr. Bank Manager, I want to take out a mortgage on this property. And then what they will do now, they'll loan you 75% of the loan of the value of that property.
Yeah.
So if the property is now worth £150,000, 75% of that is, what's 75% of that? 150,000. I need to. I have to check my phone now. Maybe you can edit this part out. But
I guess around 120 or something.
Is it 120?
I'm guessing.
I'm gonna check right now. I need an exact answer. Okay, yeah, 112.
Okay,
112,000. So you spend £100,000 in total.
Yeah,
but then now
to buy and to refurbish.
Exactly. And
then you're getting 10K as a loan back. So you got it with zero money out of your pocket.
You're getting paid in a sense. You've been paid.
Oh, that
to take
camera
on that property.
look, that was smooth.
Yeah, you've been paid.
Yeah.
So that's the BRR strategy. Obviously, not every deal is going to be sweet like that, but that's just an example.
So have you done a deal that was that clean?
I can't lie. Not to where we're making that much profits. But right now, we are doing. We're in the process of doing a couple of deals, and they're not all money back out, but you take most of your money back out. I'd say you're probably leaving like 20% of your money in. So if you spend 100 grand, you're probably leaving in 20 grand and you take 80 grand back out.
So I've thought about this strategy a lot in Iceland, and I can't make it work. Like I can't see it work. I think it's just how the bank values the properties and stuff. For some reason, I can't see it working. But what I do in Iceland is I do creative finance.
Okay.
So say an apartment I want to buy, let's say it costs let's just say $1 million. Okay, I get a 70% mortgage from the bank. All right, so I got 700,000 now, and then the remaining 30%, remaining 300,000, I get the seller to let me pay in installments over 5 years.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I got 100% mortgage basically, and because I'm so good on Airbnb and so good at maximizing the revenue, it covers all the payments.
I didn't know that. That's how it is. Is that normal over there?
No, nobody does it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But there's this guy called Pace Morby in America.
Okay.
That's like the number one guy when it comes to creative finance. If anyone is interested in it, just look up Pace Morby. He'll tell you all about how this works.
Oh, so that's like across. It doesn't matter what country you're in.
I mean, I think you can do it anywhere, yeah. But I've tried to do it in Dubai and it's not working.
How comes?
First of all, I'm not sure if it's legal. I don't know if it's legal. But, I've tried it with a bunch of sellers, like asked, hey, would you be interested in this kind of thing? But all of them just say no for some reason. I think it's just, it's harder to trust somebody here than it is back home in Iceland. I think that might be, but I'm sure if I would really push it and try to find somebody, I could.
Over here?
Yeah. I think so, but I don't know if it's legal or not. I would really have to.
That method, creative finance method?
I mean, the only thing you're doing is you're getting a loan from somebody. You know? I mean, you're getting a mortgage from a bank and you're getting a loan from the seller. I mean, is that illegal? I don't think so.
I think because they do mortgages over here as well, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
see why it would be legal.
I don't see why I don't either, to be fair.
But I spent a lot of time. I even posted in my story like 4 times looking for somebody. I couldn't find anybody, so I was like, all right, whatever.
Okay, but that works well in Iceland, though. Or it can work
works,
well.
yeah, but it's risky. It's risky.
How's it risky?
Because you there's very high payments, super high payments.
Get you.
And you have to make sure that you can make these payments. And what if, you know, a volcano erupts in Iceland and all tourism just goes away? I'm fucked, you know?
Yeah.
But because of my income now from Dubai, that helps, you know? Even if a volcano would pop up, I would be able to make these payments. But the risk is if another COVID happens, you know, and it's worldwide, that would be difficult.
What made you, because you're originally from Iceland, right?
Yeah.
What made you choose the Dubai market as opposed to any other market?
So I just wanted to go somewhere where everybody spoke English. So I thought America, UK, Dubai. And it was just the easiest to get into Dubai because I just applied for a bunch of jobs. I got a job right away. And I said, let's just go, see what happens. And then I worked that job, and which was a real estate agency. And I just started subleasing. And then I quit the job and I'm just subleasing, you know. Oh,
okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like the top pick. It was just something you tried and then it just worked, basically.
Yeah. Honestly, top pick was probably America. But it's, you know, you would have to get a visa somehow, and I don't even know how that works.
Yeah. Of course. That's all good.
Man, but back to you.
Yeah.
So how's coaching going?
Coaching's going decent, man. It's going decent. It pays the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But no, it's going well, to be fair. It's going well. I've been doing it for a little bit now. We're able to grow a team out of it. We've helped many students, and, you know, we're just looking to take it to the next level and beyond, you know?
Yeah. So what's your pricing point? Like, what do you charge people?
Okay, so the main package that we have, we charge people £6,000. That's more if you're looking to start and build this business, and if you're more looking to get to the point where you're trying to replace your income. Average income in the UK, I would say, is about, let's just say, £3,000 per month. I think it's a little less than that, but let's just say that. So typically, if you were to ask yourselves how many deals would you need to replace that, now of course each deal you take on, it varies with how much money you can make, but £1,000 per deal, that's not a crazy amount you're making. So really and truly, if you take on 3 of those deals, you replace most people's income. So that's the goal for that particular mentorship package right there. We do have a higher one. That one's at a price point of £15,000. That's more if you're already making a certain amount of money from your Airbnb business and you want to take it to the point where you're making £500,000 in revenue per year. And that's by utilizing social media. So this is the price we have.
By utilizing social media. So you teach people how to use social media to get more owners.
Exactly. So teach people how to utilize social media to build a personal brand, to get deals coming to them rather than them going out and searching for deals. Like for yourself, for example, you've got a big following on social media. I'm not sure if you get a lot of landlords reaching out to you and offering you their properties. I would imagine you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot. The thing is just the deals don't make sense.
Okay.
You know, it's just, it's just so specific of what I need. But I do have a co-hosting operation too, where I manage apartments for other people. I got 2 partners there. So when I get deals that don't make sense for subleasing, I say, hey, but I can manage it for you for 20% of the revenue. And then that's what we do. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we pretty much teach people how to do as well, in terms of getting it to that point to where they just have deals coming to them. Yeah.
Social media is so crazy.
It's a game changer.
Even if you don't get followers, it's still crazy.
Yeah. Now you can still, like, people don't have big followings and they still kill it. Yeah. But we have a smaller package as well. So that one's it's a newer one. We're personally at £2,000, and this is more for people that don't have the most amount of money but they're looking to get started. So how that works is, okay, we can partner with you, and then if you find these deals, these, you know, subleasing deals, rent to rent deals, you can give it to us, and then we can sell them on to investors that we have, and then we can split the fee with you. So we've recently launched that as well, just to help people a little bit more that don't have the most amount of money, to build up their cash to, you know, invest into their own business and get their own deals.
So people find deals, and then you find other people looking for deals, and you pair them together, basically.
Yeah, so it's called deal sourcing in the UK.
Yeah, because the big work is finding deals.
Yeah, of course.
And you got people that don't have time but want to get into it, and you got people that don't have money and want to get into it, and then you pair them together. It makes sense.
So that's the new thing that we rolled out, and it's working pretty well so far.
That's super cool.
Appreciate you, man.
So £6,000, that's like $8,000. I feel like this is very similar to what James Murphy does.
I've heard of him, yeah. I've heard of James Murphy.
My bad. I say you were the biggest coach. He's probably bigger.
I mean, coaching wise, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. Because
Really?
I haven't checked this.
His social media is bigger.
But his coaching, I can't comment. Yeah. I can't comment, obviously, because I haven't really looked into it like that. But, you know, I like to say I'm definitely up there when it comes to the top people.
Really?
Like if you, I mean, you search rent to rent, you search service accommodation on the socials, on TikTok, on Insta, you're gonna see me.
Yeah. So you think you're coaching more people?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I am because I haven't looked into. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like when it comes to the coaching space in the UK, I'm definitely one of the top ones. Specifically when it comes to rent to rents and Airbnbs.
Interesting. So the content you do is so James Murphy is another Airbnb coach. He's got like 500,000 followers on Instagram, and the content you do is very different. He does like lifestyle stuff that reaches a lot of people, while you are just a lot more into the niche, I guess, you know?
Exactly. The reason why I do that is because I want to, because the thing is, I mean, look, people have there's this negative stigma attached to, and you probably know this as well, coaches.
Yeah.
You know, coaches and, you know,
For sure.
they've never, they just make money from courses. They've never done it themselves, you know?
You know what the Russians call it?
What's that?
Info gypsy.
I don't know.
I
gypsy, I get it.
heard that.
yeah. So there's like a crazy negative stigma attached to it as well. And usually it comes from that sort of thing. Now, I'm not saying anyone doing that sort of content is wrong because it works very, very well. But I just wanted to be a little bit different with it to more, you know, give value to people and more teach people the nitty gritty and show people, okay, you know what, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Because even with the lifestyle stuff, I don't really live like a crazy lavish lifestyle. Maybe if I did, then I'd show it, but I just don't. So I feel like for me, like if you live it 100%, you can showcase it. But for me, where I don't live it, I feel like I would be faking it a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's a big part of the reason why I don't do that as well. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's what it is.
You don't want to come across as some guy trying to flex his.
I mean, it's not really because I don't. That's not really me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like don't get me wrong, some people do, and it works. It works very, very well, but it's just not my style. If I'm being honest with you. Yeah. But maybe I should. I mean, I see people doing it. They're killing it. They're getting so many followers. So maybe I need to take notes.
You mean like, there's this guy that's killing it now. These brothers that do e-commerce.
What's their names?
The Netherlands guys.
Oh, the light skinned guys.
Yeah.
They did a CEO cast recently as well, right? Yeah. I've seen them.
Like they just flex their lifestyle like crazy, and I guess it's working.
It works very well. 100% it works very. I think maybe at some point I may do a little bit of that. I'm not saying I'll never do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like right now I just wouldn't because I still feel like I got a lot more to do. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. What about yourself though? You don't do much lifestyle content.
Nah, it's just, you know, I mean, I like flexing my apartment, you know, but that's, you know, I don't even own a car. I just take Uber everywhere, and, you know, and I don't do much right now except for just growing. So I don't even know what I would. But if I had a Lamborghini or something, I would be posting it all the time, you know?
I get you. Yeah. So I'm similar. I'm pretty similar to that, to be fair.
What kind of car you drive?
I don't. What do I drive? Nothing's crazy. Like an E-Class.
E-Class.
Yeah, E-Class,
Yeah,
Mercedes
nice.
E-Class. Nothing too crazy.
I have a Tesla back home in Iceland.
Oh, that's nice. Oh,
Yeah.
it's nice to be fair.
But what's happening in the UK? Things are going crazy there.
It's going very crazy in the UK, man. It's part of the reason why I'm here.
Really?
You know, race riots.
Man, talk to me about it. Is it just crazy? Do you just see it out of your window, or what is it?
It happened in my area. I mean, like the area I live in, when there was riots taking place, this was very recent, by the way, like race riots and stuff. The people announced that they were going to come to that area, and then there was about 10,000 people that came out that were waiting for them, like counter protesters.
Oh,
and then it was just,
is it fights?
No. It wasn't fun because they didn't come.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just more everybody get together, unity, solidarity. So it was quite beautiful, to be fair.
Oh, really?
But it was just the fact that, you know, there was a lot of people that were masked up. You know, they were ready for violence, basically. But that's where it's got to the UK right now, if I'm being honest with you. But not just with that as well. I mean, things to do with, like, you know, legislations, for example, you know, taxes. That's a big thing over there. Taxes, you get taxed 45% of your income. You got 25% VAT, 20% VAT, 25% corporation tax, and obviously you've got employees in that and personal tax. Man, it's crazy, man, in the UK.
So when all your Airbnb income, do you have to pay 25% VAT on that?
20% VAT. So yes, you do. I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think there is a certain scheme in place that allows you to reduce that a bit.
Okay.
But across the board, it's 20%
Dude,
VAT.
VAT is such a killer, man.
Yeah.
I pay 11% in Iceland, 5% here. I couldn't imagine paying 20%.
What, VAT 5% over here?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was. Oh, but is it because you're a mainland company? Is that the main reason why?
I'm not sure why, but I got to do it.
Okay, yeah. But 20% VAT.
Yeah.
And then there's corporation tax.
Yeah.
So it's just it's too much in the UK, man. It's like, okay, if the UK was like if it had a lot going for it, then okay, I get it. But let's be real. I mean, the UK is only going downhill.
Yeah. So the reason these riots are happening, am I correct that, you know, that there are immigrants coming to the UK and they're just getting benefits like crazy, and all the taxpayers' money is going into paying all these immigrants benefits, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the argument behind it. To be fair, that is the argument behind it. The thing is, you got the people that are, you know, genuinely concerned about that sort of thing, and then they voice their concerns. But then you got the extreme that will take out to the streets or attack innocent people.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's
and then
horrible,
they'll start riots and stuff. So that's what kicked off this whole thing, was the people on the extreme side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of like, immigration is a big thing in the UK, 100%. It always has been.
Even in Iceland, we get people moving from like these Eastern European countries, come work for like 4 months, and then they go on unemployment benefits. And it's like, I'm paying tax to just pay all these people unemployment benefits? Like, what the hell, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought that about Iceland, just because it's so out of the way.
We get so many people from Poland, Lithuania, and these areas, just because we got our salaries are so high.
Ah, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
The minimum wage is like crazy, you know, compared to these Eastern European countries.
Of course. I think just one more thing about the UK as well is that I think the mindset of people in the UK is just, it's just not good. Like, the thing is, like, where most people in the UK don't make a certain amount of income, like you make 10 grand a month in the UK, you're like, oh my gosh, this guy is rich.
10K.
Yeah, 10K a month. Like, you know what I mean? And then people look at you like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's up there, he's rich, he's killing it. So when it comes to growth and when it comes to really open up your mind to the possibilities that are out there and reaching new heights, it's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to do that in somewhere like the UK compared to America or Dubai, for example. You know
Easier
what I mean?
in UK than America.
No. Harder. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot hard. Sorry, not hard. It's a lot harder to do that somewhere in the UK compared to somewhere like America, or even here. When I came over here recently, like this was the other day, like I was around quite a lot of people that were doing 7 figures.
Dude, if you're good at anything, come to Dubai, you'll get rich.
Yeah,
you just have to be really good at something. But if you do it in Dubai, you'll make so much money.
Exactly, and the people you're around as well. Like, because everyone here is just, you know, they grind and they're focused and they're achieving such high things, that's going to help you level up yourself automatically. Whereas in the UK, it's very hard to do that.
Yeah. And, you know, I'll give you an example. Like, finding photographers for my apartments. There's only one photographer in Dubai that I really, really like, that takes really good photos. There's one. You know, we're in Dubai. There should be hundreds.
Yeah.
And this guy is making so much money. I mean, I don't want to say exactly, but multiple $10,000 a month, 20, 30.
As a photographer?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably something like that.
That's crazy.
You know, and if you just are the best photographer in whatever place in the world, but you have to be the best, come to Dubai and you'll make a bunch of money. And I think it's like that in like most industries, you know. I've seen everybody making so much money. Cleaning companies, furnishing companies, everything around me, all the best ones are just making so much.
Welcome to capitalism, baby.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
That's what it is.
There's no friction with the taxes. Like, it's so nice that you can just pay your guy's salary, and the whole thing you're paying them, they get. You know, it's so expensive to have to pay someone's salary, and you know, 40% or more goes somewhere else. You know, it just creates so much friction. You know, you can't build a team, and you know, it's just difficult.
Yeah. Over in the UK, they don't incentivize entrepreneurship. That's the problem. Yeah. Like they'll punish you.
Exactly.
For being a business owner and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know, that's another big thing as well.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But all right, so I want to understand the coaching more, because obviously I have a huge opportunity to coach people. But no matter how I look at it, I just keep coming back to the fact that I would rather spend my energy on my business and grow my business. But so why did you choose these high ticket versus like a low paying community, like where people just pay you $100 a month and they're in a community? And
no, that's a good question. So so for me personally, I wouldn't say I was more just I was more pushed to that. Okay. If that makes sense. So it wasn't my intention to start coaching people.
Okay.
It was the mentor that I had that more pushed me towards that. But in terms of, if I was to think about the two now, you know, what would be a better option? Having a low paid community offer or having a high ticket offer? I personally think you know what? It's a very good question. It's a very good question because I like the appeal of both of them. For example, the high ticket is pretty obvious. Obviously, if you're charging $10,000 for a program and you're getting quite a lot of people purchasing, you're making quite a bit of money. But with the lower ticket, okay, you're not charging people a crazy amount, but the numbers that you can get on board is huge. You know what I mean? And the level of commitment on someone's part to jump on something like that, it's not that crazy. So I think when you pair the two together, the community element to where they're paying a very modest amount per month and the high ticket, I think that you got a recipe there to make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my personal thoughts.
So you think you're going to go into the community at some point?
100%. I'm just waiting for the right time to actually do it. And I want to do it big. I don't want to just, I can do it. I 100% can do it now, but I want to do it big, and I don't want to just do it for Airbnb. I want to do it for real estate as a whole.
Oh, so you want to get the burr in there and
everything.
Stuff, yeah.
If you're someone that's even remotely interested in getting started off in property and real estate in the UK, this is what you want to join.
See if you can do seller financing in the UK. You should look into that.
What's it called?
Seller financing.
Seller financing.
Or creative finance.
Okay, I see. Yeah. You was talking about it before.
Yeah, I was talking about it before, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, so the people that you coach, what's the success rate of these people? Do all of them succeed, or?
I wouldn't say all of them succeed. And the reason for that is because, of course, we get, the thing is, like, it really depends on the person. It's like, for example, Dubai, you mentioned Dubai is the place to be if you want to make money. If everybody, the people that come to Dubai, is everybody making it and making money?
No.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the exact same analogy with something like that. People see the opportunity, they come to it, they get started off with it, but then when they see the reality of what it comes with, it's like, wow, I didn't think it would be this hard.
Yeah.
But let's be real, you're starting a business.
Exactly.
You should have expected that.
Yeah.
So I think what I would kind of reframe that question and say the success rate of people that understand what it takes to get this business off the ground is high, 100%. Very high.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I think my biggest my highest achieving students right now currently, they're making just a little shy of £40,000 per month in profit, which is around 50 maybe 50 60k dollars per month.
Yeah, that's crazy. How many units do they have?
They have about 40.
Are all of your people in the UK or anyone outside of the UK?
Currently right now, all of the people are in the UK.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that we couldn't cater to people outside of the UK. I think it's just more, if you're, like, for example, in America, if someone wants to get started off with it in America, they're going to want to go to someone that's done it in America, not someone that's done it in the UK and not done it in America.
Because there are, like, differences, like where
100%.
Where you find the apartments and stuff like that.
Yeah, like even legalities involved. Even setting up the company is completely different. So unless I would have, even for example in Dubai, like, could I coach someone to do it in Dubai? Yes, to an extent. But when it comes to setting up, when it comes to the legal side of things, I mean, I'm going to be real, I can't, because I've never done it before in Dubai.
Yeah. But you can help them, like, setting up the unit.
100%.
Like
On the operational side of things, 100%.
Of course.
Like,
yeah.
and
building a team and all of that.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think, sorry, go on.
So, I mean, I'm going to a totally different topic, so finish.
No. So what I was going to say is, it's because I see people doing this in America all the time. I mean, some of the bigger names. I mean, I think you even had one of them in the on your podcast. I think it's Hamza. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, he probably coaches people worldwide. I know that guy. What's his name? Mr. 4-8. I don't know if you've seen him about. I know he's got students. I mean, he's got students in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, he's got students in the UK. Yeah, so it's definitely doable. It's definitely possible, and I think I can do that at some point. But I would just want to make it across the board, man. I wouldn't want to just make it Airbnb and short-term rentals. I would want to make it real estate as a whole and make it apply, not necessarily worldwide, because obviously that's a hard thing to do, but in certain locations. So in the UK, in Dubai, and maybe in certain parts of the US.
Yeah.
The property club.
That you could cater to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As in, like, if you're looking to get into real estate, or in the UK, maybe Dubai, if I'm thinking about that a bit more, and also in other places as well. This is the platform to join. This is the community you want to join.
Okay, we got you. So when people buy your course or program, are you there one-on-one coaching with them, or do you have a team? Is that what you said?
So yeah, I've got a team. So I've got a head coach. To be fair, he was a student on the program.
Okay.
He ended up doing pretty well. So I I hired him to become a head coach, and he does the one-to-ones with the students. He does one of the weekly sessions. I'm there. I check in with the students from time to time, but I'm not too actively involved with that. But I also do the one of the weekly sessions. So that's why my involvement with the students is nowhere near as much as it was before. But I just more checking with the students because I want to, and I do the weekly sessions. That's what I do really.
Oh, so you got weekly Q&As with everyone.
Exactly.
I got you. Yeah. So that's almost like a community. So I mean people, yeah, they get into a community. Do you use School or something like that?
School. That's exactly what I use. Yeah. So it's just to kind of okay. So if I was to kind of outline the whole process, so how the program works is I'm specifically talking about the 6K program. That's the main one that people join. So you join that. Okay, and then the first step is we'll have a one-to-one blueprint session with you to really map out a game plan and a roadmap of where you are right now, where you're trying to get to, and how we can bridge that gap together. You know, so that's what we do, and that's over the next 12 months. So once that's done now, this is when we hit the ground running. They have access to our online training platform, which is on School. That pretty much has all the information, all the training videos that they need. They hit the ground running with that. They can contact us if they need any help, any support. The one-to-one coach or the head coach is there for one-to-one calls, messages, anything they need is there. And of course, we have 2 weekly sessions per week. The first one is the lead generation session. This is the one I host. This is when we're basically teaching people and showing people how to generate leads, property leads basically. Convincing landlords, estate agents, all that stuff. And then the other session, the second one, that's hosted by the head coach, Andrew. And that's for property operations. So this is where it's like, okay, cool. This is what we're going to teach you how to, optimize the property, best manage the property efficiently, and how to maximize profits from those properties. And then that's pretty much the infrastructure we have in place. We've got the community. They can conversate with each other, ask questions, give value. We have masterminds as well, in-person masterminds.
Everybody can show up to that?
No, so we used to make it like that. We used to make it to where anybody can show up. But now we've decided that we choose you. Like we'll select, if we want you to come, we'll select you because we only want to select the top performing people. So we want to incentivize people to perform well, to do well, so that they can be invited to the mastermind and have all these extra perks as well.
Okay, I got you.
So that's basically just brought up my whole program. Yeah.
So how much of the income do you have to spend for the coaches? And it's like 30% or 40%?
No,
like
what the head coach? No, I pay him around just a little under £2,500 per month.
Per month?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, so he doesn't even get a percentage. He just gets...
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Nice. So, okay, I'll tell you my situation, or maybe you can tell me something different. So a couple of months ago, I started like this community where I charged everybody $100 a month to get in. I only had a story up for like 2 hours, took it down just so I would get a bunch of people in, and then I could just test it.
Okay.
I had like 30 people. I ran with these 30 people for 2 months, and I just had a weekly Q&A, and I thought it was kind of fun sometimes, just helping people out and stuff. But then I was just constantly doing the numbers, and I was like, okay, so how could I do this so that, it wouldn't take too much attention from my business, but I would still make enough money for it to be worth it. And no matter how I do the numbers, so even if I find a way to make $1 million a year, I would rather just focus my energy on growing my business to make another $1 million a year and just maintaining that for the rest of my life instead of having to maintain some coaching program for the rest of my life. It sounds just so much harder and so much more taxing, and then I'm like, I get this stamp of being a coach, and all What would you do in my scenario if you just had my following? How would you set it up?
As in, like, if I didn't want to be hands-on with it at all?
No, just what would you do?
Okay, so if I was in your shoes, I would probably in that case have instead of like having a mentorship program, I would have like an online training portal that I'm potentially selling to people. You know what I mean? So I can just sell that, and it's not taking up any of my time. You know what I'm saying? That's one option there.
Maybe, how does that work?
So online training portal. So it's an online course.
Okay.
So you go online course.
So you just create a course and then
if you want to sell it for $1,000, however much you want to sell it, you can go pick it up, and then that's no sweat off your back because you're not having to do anything much from that as well. I mean, if you wanted to, you could add like a little, maybe if you really wanted to, like a weekly Q&A, or whatever the case may be, to help you and assist you with that. Alternatively, the other option could be maybe doing a little bit of the mentorship, but then you not being the main person doing, like you not being the main person doing the fulfillment. So having like a head coach basically doing it on your behalf, and you're just like the face of it, getting people in. The head coach takes care of it all, And then, yeah, pretty much. So that's the two options that I would kind of play around with.
Yeah. I guess the other thing I struggle with is Dubai, it's not a huge market like the UK. Like, how many people you have in the UK? 60 million
Like
or
60
something?
million, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So obviously it's smaller in Dubai. And also I think it is harder to be profitable in Dubai. So I feel like I would be setting up a lot of people for failure, and it would just be a lot of stress for me,
Not necessarily. I mean, I think if because you've done it and you've obviously got it to a pretty decent level, you can set the expectations of what's required. Because the problem is, I mean, look, and I get why coaches and consultants, they've got this label on them. There's got this stigma attached to them. Because let's be real, a lot of people, they do paint it out for the business to be something it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's a piece of piss. You call up a landlord, take on this property, put it on Airbnb, you're making money from day one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more to it than just, okay, yes, in a simple way that is basically it. Yeah. But there is a lot more to it. Let's be real.
You're gonna hit a lot of walls that you have to figure out,
Exactly. So I think for someone like yourself, if you're able to just kind of not, make it seem as though something is not, and you're actually getting, because that's the problem as well with me. I get a lot of younger people coming to me. Yeah. A lot of people in their early 20s, late teens, and it's cool. I love working with them. I love helping them. But the problem is, obviously, because they're so young, they're a bit, you know what I mean? They haven't been through life like that, and they haven't been through the struggles. Yeah. Whereas if you're getting someone that's been through the struggles already, that's a little bit older, it's a bit easier to kind of take them over the line.
Honestly, if somebody like 18, 19 would be coming to me, I would just tell them to like build your sales skills first. You know what I mean? Get a sales job and just master it. Become the best. Because after you master that, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
It's hard to get into this 18, 19 because the landlords will never trust you and stuff, right?
I mean, I hear you, but we've got 18, 19 year olds that are doing They're doing well. They're doing very well.
Okay, but so how do they get the owners to accept them?
Well, as an 18, 19 year old,
yeah.
Honestly, it just depends on your approach, man. I would argue that, I mean, think about it like this, if I'm a landlord, and obviously we're business owners or entrepreneurs. Let's say now we've got properties and we're looking to rent it out, but then this 18-year-old kid comes, but he's so driven, he's so motivated, he's so, you're gonna think, I'll be impressed. I'll be like, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So some people actually have empathy, like, wow, like I can see myself in you.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you, I guess they have a chance.
They have a chance.
But it's definitely harder.
It's a lot harder, 100%. It's a lot harder.
Yeah, but I mean, I see your point. Especially if it's an owner that doesn't have maybe it's like a little bit of a slum,
Of course.
He doesn't. Maybe if it's not like a prestige apartment, it's just like some basic, it's just like give him a chance.
Some landlords just don't care. Honestly, some like,
and especially if the kid is paying 2-month deposit or whatever, what's the worst thing that can happen for the owner?
So yeah, I mean, it's really, some owners don't care. Some owners have a bit, I like you, I really like you. But then other owners, I can't lie, it's like, oh, how old are you? How long you been doing this for? So it is more of a disadvantage. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
If you're a kid doing this, but at the same time, if you're a kid and you're able to get to a certain level, which I've worked with a few kids that have, I mean, the world's your oyster, man, honestly. Yeah. And it's not impossible. I would never tell anyone that they can't do it because of their age.
Exactly. That's a good point.
True. I get 15-year-olds reaching out to me saying they want to get started off with this. I mean, it's like, you're 15 though. But
what do you tell them?
No, but I just say, look, you're a bit young. I mean, what I would say if you're 15 or at that age, it's possible, but you'd have to set up a company, you need to be 18 years old at least.
Yeah.
So if you've got like a family member or a close friend that's a bit older that's willing to be a director of that company, 100%. Who am I to tell a 15-year-old for them not to chase their dreams?
Yeah, I take whatever I said back. If you're 18, just freaking go for it, man.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. So that's what. But I've not taken the youngest person I've taken on. Yeah, I can't.
12 years old.
No. What was it? I think he was. I can't lie. I think he was 17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the youngest guy. But usually minimum is like 18.
Did you get his parents' approval?
Nah, he didn't. To be fair, I swear to God, there's sometimes when my closers have been on the phone with their parents a few times.
Oh wow!
I swear down because they were that young. They were like 18, 17, 18. Yeah.
And the parents want to make sure that it's not a scam.
Exactly. So we have that. That's TikTok for you, man.
Yeah, but honestly, if I had a son and he was 17 or 18 and he wanted willing to do this, dude, yeah, go for it.
100%.
Even if you fail, that's great. Then how much are you going to learn from that, you know?
You know what I mean? This is
Exactly.
the beauty of being entrepreneurs, you know, because
Yeah.
we can.
Especially if I have so much money and I can just back him up if he fails, you know, at least I know he's trying, you know?
Yeah.
That's,
This is why if we have properties and someone approaches us for Airbnb and they're young, we may think, you know what, I quite like you.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's what I'd say.
Good point. Good point. We're running out of time. I had some topic I want to go to, but I forgot.
No, that's cool, man. It's all good.
Anything you got on your mind?
That I want to put out there. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Well, it depends on what. You gotta give me something to kind of.
What are your plans in Dubai? Why are you in Dubai?
Oh, I'm in Dubai. Okay, cool. So the reason why I'm in Dubai is because I want to be operating here more compared to the UK for tax purposes. I feel like the taxes in the UK are just they're stupid. They're crazy and they're just very unreasonable. And I feel like it disincentivizes people to do business in the UK. And I feel like it pushes a lot of the top level entrepreneurs outside of the UK because the taxes are so high.
Yeah.
Not only that as well, I feel like, this goes back to my point before about the types of people in the UK. You know, I'm not saying people in the UK are shit, which to be fair, a lot of people are shit in the UK. Like just got a shitty mindset. But the mentality of people in the UK is just so poor. You know, people in the UK, they always talk to, from what I've seen, like just, don't get too big for your boots. You stay in your lane. You know, be humble. You know what I mean? Being humble is cool. Don't get me wrong, but just basically, know your limits.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean, know my limits? Mm-hmm. Do you show them that this is the mentality of people in the UK, and I don't like that because when I'm in the, I'm gonna be real, I'm not, I don't see myself as the guy, but when I'm in the UK, people look at me like, oh, this guy's the guy, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong, yeah, I like it, but then like, come on, man, that does something to you mentally. It makes you complacent. It makes you lazy because you think, oh yeah, I'm already the guy. Whereas if you come somewhere like here, you think, oh, like, you are not the guy.
Yeah.
You get humbled very quickly, and it builds that hunger back up. And you want to go harder.
Exactly.
So this is why I like being. This is why I'm spending more time in Dubai, because of the taxes and also because of the people and the network that you can build over here and opportunities.
Makes
of course,
sense.
to meet
So-
people like yourself, of course.
Yeah. Awesome. So could you create a company here in Dubai and all your coaching revenue would just go into the Dubai company?
I've already got that.
Oh, so that's what you do already.
Well, I'm doing that. Sorry, I'm doing
Okay.
that. That's what I'm gonna do. That's the plan.
But so far you've been paying 40% tax on all your profits in the coaching.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a no-brainer, obviously.
Yeah.
But so you want to live here too, or you want to go back and forth?
Probably I'll probably be back and forth with you. I can't see myself living here full time, if I'm being honest with you. I don't
Yeah.
think most people do.
It helps you by doing content in the UK, obviously.
It does.
too.
That's the biggest thing. Like content over here is just like, it's sick.
What do you mean sick here?
Oh, as in always. Sorry, what was your question?
I was saying it probably helps you to do content in the UK because you're trying to reach those people.
Oh yeah. Oh, being in the UK and doing content there.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, because I feel like I've got like I haven't got like a massive following or anything, but I feel like I've got a decent enough brand in that niche I'm in to where people are like, you know what I mean? And plus, like, I've got people in the UK that are posting on my behalf so that it does show to the UK audience. And obviously I've got an English accent, I speak a certain way, so people will know.
Oh yeah, people know you're
Yeah,
from the UK.
people will know. Whereas
And they're like, oh, this guy's living in Dubai now. That's
yeah,
awesome.
exactly. Whereas if you were to try, speak to the UK audience, you could, but it's like,
It
they
would
would know
be
you're
very
not from-
hard. Yeah.
They would know.
Because they would know, like, this guy is not us.
It's not our people. Yeah.
I got you. I would
Oh,
have an easier
shit.
time in America, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
But
What about yourself? Have you ever thought about doing it like somewhere in like the States or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I'm even looking at it right now. Like
Okay.
starting somewhere else and just doing it while I'm doing it in Dubai as well.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at America, yeah, for sure.
Whereabouts in America?
I mean, I'm looking at a lot of places. America, even Australia, I'm looking at Miami. I'm looking at Austin. I'm looking at a lot of places, but we'll see what happens. I haven't done like crazy research, but I'm definitely think I'll be starting that pretty soon to do another area as well.
What about the UK?
Honestly, I'm just so American. I don't think I can go to the UK. I don't know. I love America. I used to live there for 1 year.
Okay.
I grew up playing American football. So I'm just like, I'm so gradual, like America. I just want to go to America so bad.
Yeah.
But the UK, I just hear people talk shit about the UK so much that it's like, I don't know if I want to go to the UK
I get
anymore.
you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is-
But
I don't
but
blame you.
It seems like a good place to do this business, though. It seems like
It is. I definitely wouldn't say it's not. It is. But I mean, look, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
for having that thought, because the UK is definitely not. I mean, look, it definitely has its perks.
Yeah.
100%, not taking that away from the UK, but it has a lot of cons, man. A whole lot of cons.
So say I were to go, I would want to spend a year to try to set up 100 apartments. What town or city I should go to in the UK? I want to get 100 apartments in 1 year.
what
or year and a
town or
half-
city?
year and a half.
Oof. Okay, instead of saying city, I would more say region. And so let's do that, because it's like I think that would be a bit better. So region. I mean, it's a hard question to answer, man. Because you know it can work everywhere.
Yeah.
It can genuinely work. Okay, look, let me show you what. If I were to start Airbnb arbitrage all over again, or rent to rent, I would be doing one of two things. I would either be focusing on Zone 1, Central London, solely because the profits there are stupid. Like, you get one property and you could potentially be making... I know certain people that have one property, they're making 10 grand a month from one property. This is like a 2-bedroom apartment. But the rent's crazy.
So they're paying like maybe
They're paying like 20k a month.
20k a month.
Yeah.
And then they make 30k.
Then they make like, yeah. But then some people...
That would be a good fit for me though, I think.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
Maybe I should just go do that.
but it's you see getting...
But I don't want to get mugged though. I don't want to get stabbed. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's very like... I think that's overhyped over there. I think, yeah, I just think that's overhyped over there, because yes, do stabbings happen? Yes, but at the same time, it's like I feel like you need to be involved in a certain lifestyle for you to put yourself at risk.
Or have a Rolex on your arm. And
Oh yeah, I
you
forgot about
you
that.
just
Yeah,
not do that.
But obviously,
so.
yeah, you gotta be smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. But that's what I would personally do. Zone 1, Central London. Or if I were not to do Zone 1, Central London, I would only focus on...
What like Birmingham?
I guess it could work. It could work in Birmingham. People...
I know a guy, Adam Reyna. I don't know if you've seen him.
I've seen him about, yeah.
He's got like 100 apartments in Birmingham.
Yeah, no, it can work well. It can 100% work well in Birmingham. I just, you know, it's just the profits I've seen over there. It's just not been the sexiest, if I'm being honest with you.
People making like 500 bucks a
Yeah,
month.
it's just like it's a waste of time for me, if I'm being honest. Not Birmingham as a whole, but just those types of profits compared to someone like Zone 1, for example. You know what I mean? But I've even got people that are paying, like, let's say for example, not even a crazy amount of rent, like £4,000-5,000 a month, but they're making like 6,000 profit, which is
really good.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I would do. Like personally, if I was starting all over again.
For someone in London.
But it's very very hard to get deals over there.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Very.
You think my social media would help if I would be like, hey, I'm very successful here in Dubai, blah blah blah. You think
it would 100% help, 100%.
Yeah.
The problem is though, it's probably similar to over here, because I mean, if you own properties in Zone 1, Central London, you're a rich guy. You're multi, like you're not dealing with tenants yourself. You're not doing none of that. You know what I mean? So even if the landlords, the agents didn't care, or the landlords didn't care, like on paper, you would need to make... I got a student right now. He's trying to get Zone 1 Central London deals. He's actually got a lot of money. He's probably got I say a lot, but he can spend like 50 grand on these deals. But the problem is, if, let's say for example, he takes on a property and it's 10 grand a month in rent, in the UK, technically you have to be making 3 times the rent. So if it's 10 grand a month, you have to be making 3 times that. Now, even if you are making 3 times that, on paper, you're not going to show you're making 3 times that, because of the, you know what I mean? Like personally anyways, like as in like, oh, I'm not going to be paying myself 30 grand a month.
Because you're a business owner, you don't want to pay tax on that whole
Does that
thing.
make sense? Yeah.
Of course.
But of course, if your business is established, you've been going at it for many years, and you can show like, okay, this is what my business is doing, that's different.
Yeah, so I guess it would be really hard for me as a foreigner to come in and just like Zone 1.
I don't think it will be... I think it's hard to get those in general, but I don't think for you it would be harder. I think maybe you just need to pay more upfront, because exactly, like it's similar to here.
Yeah.
Similar to here. You'd need to pay more upfront because you are someone that's a foreigner.
Okay, so let's talk about the investment of these deals a little bit. We forgot to talk about that. So say you rent an apartment, $5,000 a month, £5,000 a month. What's your security deposit? You pay monthly. We have to pay an agent. What do you have to pay?
Okay, so Zone 1 deal, £5,000 per month. Let's say it's Oxford Circus or somewhere. £5,000. Usually the security deposit is 6 weeks. So
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So that's about, if 4 weeks is £5,000. Wait, is it? No, sorry, 5 weeks. No. Yeah, 5 weeks. So let's just say that's like 6,000. Okay, so 6,000 for the deposit, 5,000 for the upfront rent, and of course now we've got things like the setup costs, furniture, refurb of the place if you're trying to get to a certain standard. Now, the thing you have to bear in mind is that you have to think about the types of people that book properties in central London. There are people charging thousands of pounds per night for people to book in, and we're talking about 2-bedroom apartments. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to cater your properties to those people, you need to make sure you're getting it to a certain quality.
So when you say refurbish, are you talking about some people are like upgrading the floors and stuff, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, but even the floors, like, I don't think that costs you a crazy amount, to be fair.
No,
I mean, depending on how you're doing it, but just like a light refurbishment, so paint, just like a TLC basically,
wood panel or
exactly,
something cool like that.
Cosmetics,
Yeah.
cosmetics. So that furniture costs, but depending on how high of a quality you're doing it, as I'm sure you know, it may cost a pretty penny.
But so security deposit is only a month and a half maximum.
Yeah, 5 weeks. I mean, 5 weeks, which is a month and a week.
That's super low. So do you have to pay an agent a commission?
Nah.
The seller, the owner pays the agent, right?
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, if you're doing a rent to rent, they can, because you're not really you know what I mean? Like, you
have to incentivize them.
Exactly, you have to incentivize them. Not always, but sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You pay 1 month rent at a time. And the furniture, how much does it cost to furnish a 2-bedroom apartment?
I mean, it varies. I would say anywhere between, if you're trying to be crafty with it, anywhere between 3 till about £6,000-7,000.
Oh yeah, okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's another pro that the UK has over the Dubai, because you can pay the rent monthly, you don't have to pay an agent, and the security deposit is, I guess, actually the same.
So over here, you pay in checks, right?
Yeah, so you usually have to pay 3 months rent up front plus a security deposit, which is 5% of the yearly rent.
Is that if you're lucky? Because usually landlords are charging one check, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, often you have to pay the whole year up front. But if you're lucky, you find somebody that's, 50% of them accept 4 checks, which means you have to pay every 3 months.
Okay.
Most of them accept that.
Do you find that's quite, doing that is a bit of a, like, it kind of restricts you to scale further, would you say?
Oh yeah. It slows down. It slows down because you have to pay so much rent up front. It ties down so much money. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a big pro of the UK as well. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them ask, I guess some landlords saying, hey, you pay 6 months up front. I kind of just.
Yeah. And then I see your videos and then you make the face like, come on.
Yeah. People think I'm trolling and taking the piss, but I'm not.
Yeah. It's just natural.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I've watched you for so long. Like before I started making content, I was watching you.
Yeah.
And another thing you do, you always say, yeah. That's another thing you always do.
What, to the landlords?
No, to the landlords, and also you did it on the podcast before.
Well, like
yeah. That's your.
It's an English thing. I don't know.
Oh really? Oh, I got you.
Oh shit.
All right, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Great conversation.
Very much appreciated.
And good luck in the future, whatever you end up doing.
Good luck to you setting up shop in the States, man.
Oh yeah.
I look forward to seeing that content.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff.
Good stuff, man.